Are we live? I think we're live. What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody is having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. If you are new to the live show, appreciate you stopping by. My little corner of the YouTube. Basically, what I put together is a background noise generator based around cars, motorcycles, could be anything really. Uh, Shop talk. So, if it is your first time, consider hitting the subscribe button, like this thing, share it, do all of that business stuff that YouTube finds to be so important. It helps the channel out a lot. So anything you can do in that respect, I truly appreciate it. So I want to bring to you guys which bikes are coming up for the ride and reviews. Talk to you a little bit about some upcoming motorcycles that are pretty exciting, at least to me anyway. And then there is the topic of the fleet. The GSXR 1000 is the latest. I want to bring to you some upcoming plans with that bike. I think some plans have kind of changed a little bit with that motorcycle. And also chat about, I guess this is the behind the scenes part where I'll give you like, this is what I'm up to. But what I'm doing here is I'm going to kind of go over one of the upcoming videos. A lot of times I'll practice some of the material on the live show before I put it out for a standalone video. And that is a 1000cc motorcycle. Is it worth it? Is it really worth it to have one of these things? Is it that much different than say a GSXR 600 or a GSXR 750? And really what is going on with the latest, why is it that, 1000cc bikes, are they really that fast to ride? Do they feel that fast is really the main thing. So diving into it. So here's the funny thing. The whole motorcycling ethos right now is so dynamic. There are so many new motorcycles coming out right now that it is really hard to just grab one or two, right? It's like being a kid in a candy store. Stubbs Cycles has allowed me free reign of the entire inventory to bring content, which is awesome. It's cool. But it's like being a shark in a swarm of mackerel, right? Like I just don't know where to bite first. So there's two bikes that are coming with one kicker. The one bike is the one bike I'm really excited about is the Africa Twin. So when it comes to adventure bikes, it's really difficult to beat the Africa Twin. There's a lot of folks that will say, well, this bike is better. That I get that, but Africa Twin focuses on the off-road aspect of the adventure bike series. And it really does look the part. There is something so just gravitating for those of us of a certain age when it comes to that old school Paris to Dakar look. And that's what the Africa Twin brings. It's like that old Kajiva style, humongous gas tank, big windscreen, dirt bike flying through the desert. That's what the Africa Twin means to me anyway. And so I'm looking forward to bringing the new aspect or this new bike for 25 to you guys. There's quite a bit of changes that have been made. And in this case, I get to play with an Africa Twin DCT. So I'm very much looking forward to that. The other motorcycle that I'm going to be bringing a ride and review is a bike that you may have heard me talk about a few times already. It's a bike that I've compared with the Daytona 660, the Tuono 660, and a couple of other bikes. That is the CBR 650. I will be riding the CBR 650 on in a couple of days. Here's the cool thing, though. This bike has the e-clutch. So I'm going to go from being on a DCT bike to being on an e-clutch bike in the same day. So hopefully my mind doesn't melt. But I'm looking forward to bringing you guys that bike and the Africa Twin because they are more, how do I put this? They are more globally popular bikes. In the United States, those that are in the know are huge into the Africa Twin. I mean, you can't, if I were to put together a list of adventure bikes and I said Tiger 900 or V-Strom or whatever, I wouldn't be able to leave the conversation without talking about the Africa Twin. And it's because it's got such a great legacy. And again, so many guys love it. Well, with the DCT, it's probably even that much better. I don't know yet because I haven't ridden the bike, but by all accounts, this is the absolute top of the food chain when it comes to adventure bikes, in that it's a little bit lighter. It's a little bit, again, it's more focused towards off-road, sort of. But again, there are some things that are coming up that I think that are going to be very beneficial if you're looking for a bike that is an all-weather commuter, like the ultimate all-weather, do everything sport utility motorcycle, or utility bike. Really, I don't want to call it a sport utility bike. This is a true utility cycle, and one that would be equally at home, 50% off-road. You know what I mean? So where something like the GS, or the GT rather, the Suzuki GS X1000 GT, turns into alphabet soup. Anyway, that one, the one that's based off the GSX S platform, like the Katana and everything else, that bike is a true sport utility. The Triumph Tiger 900 is a sport utility bike, more or less, depending on how it's configured. The new Africa Twin does bridge the gap exceptionally well there. So I'm looking forward to that. And again, by all accounts, everybody that I've talked to, and from just anecdotal evidence, the Africa Twin is the gold bearing standard for this. That's why I'm looking forward to that. The CBR 650, on the other hand, is a little bit different. The CBR 650 is an e-clutch, meaning you can use a clutch, and there is a clutch that you actuate. It's not just for show and tell. It's an actual honest to goodness clutch. It's just that when it is in automatic mode, you don't have to use a clutch to start or stop the bike. You can just roll onto the throttle and quick shift up, quick shift down, and then you come to a stop manually, still shifting, but you don't ever touch the clutch. All of that is done automatically. That's the one that's going to be weird for me, even probably more so than the DCT, because there is a lever and there is a shifter, and I'm probably going to find myself just absentmindedly rolling through the gears, but we'll see. And last but not least, if I can get this bike in, I will. Will be a Royal Enfield Continental GT 650. This is a bike that I am very much looking forward to. The reason why I like this bike so much, number one, very inexpensive. I mean, exceptionally inexpensive. This bike that I'll be riding is in used inventory, but there's no miles on it. There's hardly any miles on it whatsoever. But I'll be riding that one. And then at some point, an MT-07 is probably going to happen too. So if I can get 3 bikes in, it's going to include the Royal Enfield. Basically, I'm just going to be going, this is all the crazy technology that you can get. And then here's a bike with literally no technology whatsoever. So I'll be basically going through that lineup here in just a couple of days. So very cool. I'm looking forward to that. Sam Grable is in. What is up? Hard Rock is checking in, saying, I love Honda DCT. I'm starting to really like it a lot too. Sam saying, I have Honda DCT in my side-by-sides. It can be jerky at extremely low speeds, but I love it. The new stuff, I don't know how it's programmed in the side-by-sides, but the new DCT is exceptionally good. Like, it's creepy how smooth and intuitive that it is. And I don't know that I've done a good enough job of explaining like how good it is. It's just like driving any other automatic transmission car that you would drive. There is no jerkiness. There's no lurching. There's nothing to it. It's to say that, okay, it's this intuitive. When you roll into this is what I was trying to explain in my ride along video when I'm in the parking lot of Stubbs Harley Davidson. When I was tipping into the throttle, you could feel and get the sense of how the clutch was actuating and how it was going through what would be like a phantom friction zone. And so you could just kind of feel it as you were rolling into the throttle. Like if you didn't know any better, you could literally get the sense of how it was going through the friction zone. That's how good it was. So it's difficult to explain if you've never ridden one. It's hard to explain how good it is, because it's almost, once you're underway, it's just like having any automatic transmission, but at very slow speeds. It's good. No jerkiness, not out of the new programming anyway. I can't really speak to the old programming, but the new stuff, pretty good. But yeah, those are the bikes that are going to be coming up here in the not so distant future. An MT-07, if I can get one of those in, I would like to. I'm looking at my calendar over here. I'd like to see if I can get the MT-07 in by the end of the month. I will be pretty stoked, although we got some pretty nasty weather coming. So I don't know. We'll see about that. I know I've got a bit of a pass this Thursday though, so I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Okay, what else? So bikes that are coming up that, quite a bit of interest in right now. R9. So the Yamaha R9 is coming. And I got to tell you guys that is a bike that's got me a bit intrigued. As somebody that owns a GSXR 1000, you might think, well, what good would an R9 do you? I got to put it to you like this. The more time I spend with a GSXR 1000, the more I'm not going to say disappointed with my purchase. The more I ride it, the more disappointed I am that I don't have the facilities to truly be able to enjoy that bike. But yet I do. Okay. So, and this is another thing I'm going to try to put together. Oh, and by the way, a lot of times if I have a standalone video that for whatever reason, I can't put together, like my brain can't go from like this block to that block to that block of thought, a lot of times I'll just catch up with these things on the live show. So in some cases, it'll be a little bit of a twofer. It'll be a live show plus a standalone video kind of wrapped into one. Standalone it being when I pick a topic and I just, stick to it and it's not live. So the GSXR 1000 for me lately, I've been doing a ton of suspension adjustments with that bike, just all kinds of suspension tuning with the stock components. And I've got it pretty much right where I want it. The only downside to that bike is the fact that it is a 1000cc bike. It has to be more stiffly sprung. And nothing can be more apparent than that, than when you start really testing the limits of acceleration with that bike. And I can tell you that not having enough preload on like a 600 or a 750, you don't really pick up on any weirdness with that under hard acceleration. You might get a little bit of a squat, but that's about it. With a 1000cc bike, if you try to soften up the rear to make it more compliant in terms of preload, what'll happen is it'll squat, but if the rear squats, that means you're changing your rake angle, which means that it's going to be, because of all the extra power, the front end's going to come up more anyway. Without getting too much into the weeds on nerd stuff, I've got the rear preload set just right. Now I'm working on just the hydraulics. I'm working on getting compression and rebound all sorted out. And that's really hard to do when it's cold outside, because all of the fluids are thicker and they're not really functioning like they normally would. I was able to get that bike out for a little bit yesterday in like 62, 63 degree weather, and had a lot of traffic, but the bike was a bit more compliant than it was the other day when I rode it. And I was trying to get just some preliminary things sorted out with the bike, primarily getting the sag set up and going from there. So while we're talking about it, the sag on my bike's 37 millimeters up front, and from the factory, it is exactly to the number 35 millimeters. So I didn't have to touch that, which is good. But again, compression Compression dampening, I probably will take I've already got a quarter turn out of it. I'll probably go another eighth or a quarter turn on compression dampening. And on high speed rebound, I may take another eighth out. I think that's going to make it a bit more compliant. But when I set the bike up for hitting sweepers and stuff like that, it'll still be able to settle down and not move around too much. But the main thing is that the suspension does still have to be able to work, and you've got to set it up at the speeds that you're going to be going. I don't typically, well, I don't want to say, so I'm typically pretty aggressive with that bike, but, one of the things that I've noticed is, with, if I've got the bike on the side of the tire in a long sweeper, say let's say I'm carrying 135 or 140 miles an hour, just kind of like this, right? Not absolutely killing it, but just carrying good velocity through a sweeper. The bike does have a tendency to be a little bit pogo-y. And so that's something that I'm trying to tune out of it. Now, I will tell you that it will still do that a little bit, even if I'm only going, now this is a different scenario that I've got in my head, but say 94, 95 miles an hour, same idea, just a little bit tighter. It would, before I started tuning the suspension, it would really get a little bit skittish. So anyway, that's what I'm working on right now, is I'm trying to get the bike to settle down a little bit, and just tune the thing to where it's happy at around, say 130 or 140 miles an hour when I've got it over on the side of the tire, but I'm not really cranked over and throwing a lot of G-force at it. I'm just kind of going old man fast with it. And that's the thing that I'm working on. So it's there. The sag is there. The bike is really good. And so, we'll see how that works out. Also, when it comes to tuning the thing, I am really on, like, I'm riding the fence right now of whether or not I want to go full exhaust, pair block off, and everything else with that bike, or just put a tune on it with the slip on and leave it alone. That is kind of where I'm going with this. And the reason for that is, I don't, since the bike isn't at the track, and since I'm not roll racing it, like legit roll racing it, I don't see a need to worry about the catalytic converter in this thing taking a dump. For the times where I am on the throttle really hard, I'm only buzzing it up to, I'm not hammering on it to, say, 180, 190. Like the load profile that catalytic converter is going to get hit with is not as heavy as like what a lot of people put them through. And it's not going to be at that kind of load and temperature for very long. So I'm not so much worried about the catalytic converters or converter. And I don't know, the bike just runs really good now, but there is one, oh my gosh, the deceleration fuel cutoff on that bike has got to be adjusted, because in RPM between 3,000 and 3,000 and 5,000, slight throttle input variances are like getting punched in the back on that bike. So that's going to have to get fixed. And it's not like it's like a snappy throttle. It's like being chopped like this. It's like it rides like I've got poor throttle control, and that's definitely not the case. So that needs to be smoothed out. But in higher RPM, it's a little bit better, but lower RPM, it's a disaster flick. And then do away with the nannies that are holding the throttle back above, say, 11,500 RPM. That will allow the bike to breathe a little bit better and just carry RPM better if I need to. But the funny thing with that bike is I typically only run it to about 11,000 RPM. So I don't really beat on the bike that hard anyway. So that's another reason why I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to keep that Yoshimura slip on. I've already got it. And as far as going with a full exhaust, here's the problem. Going with a full exhaust is a lot of money. And I just don't see the need in throwing more money at it. The bike's already, it's a Gixxer Thau. It's already freaking awesome as it sits. All right, getting back to you guys. Hard Rock saying that Triumph pick I sent you on the email. Yeah, the new Triumph Speed Twins are nice. They're fun bikes. And anybody that has ridden one, they find would be very endearing. They're just fun, punchy, just grunty motorcycles. And my Bonneville is basically the same power envelope, if you will, as a 1200 a speed twin, because the exhaust and the tune and everything else that's on it, it's not the same, but it's close enough. And yeah, I mean, they're great bikes. I'd recommend that bike to anybody, especially anybody that's getting back into motorcycling and you want something cool. You want something that's kind of quick. It's going to be, it's going to handle well enough, but you're really not trying to, tear the canyon apart or anything like that with it. You're just wanting to have a fun, just a motorcycle. It's a standard bike. It's a good bike. It's a real good bike. Skid saying it's a Suzuki B. Got the flex with the bald guy in the shade saying low range, that tipping goes away. Oh yeah. Sam's talking about the DCT and the side-by-side. Instead of Professor or Gixxer B. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, Gixxer B. Good evening, chat. Hope our call friends or our Cali friends are all safe. Yep. I think a lot of folks are starting to get, they're all being accounted for right now. So fingers crossed for everybody in SoCal right now. So let's see what else is, motorcycle stuff. Anyway, getting back to the Gixxer thing. Like I say, if there's a downside to a Gixxer thou, it's just that they're sprung a bit more stiff than like a GSXR 750, but you're also dealing with a machine that makes ridiculous velocities seem absolutely normal. This is the weird part about a 1000cc bike. Like if you're to say, okay, well, what is a drawback of a leader class bike? This isn't a drawback. It's a weirdity. It's an oddity with them. Let's say I put you on what I consider one of the best middleweights, GSXR 600. It's just a fun bike. It's a great bike. It's an analog bike, and it's a really good example of just a middleweight sport bike, right? And I turn you loose on this bike, and you have fun with it. You come back, yay, had a good time with it. If I put you on a GSXR 1000 next, there's two things that are going to become exceptionally clear to you. One, the ride is significantly more firm. But two, and this is kind of a weird thing, you may not really pick up on the fact that it is as much faster than the 600 as it is. Let me explain that to you. So the gearing in a GSXR 600 is it's about 33% more aggressive than a GSXR 750, a GSXR 1000. And so if you look at it from the point of view of the gearing and the RPM in a 600, yeah, let's say a 600 makes 50 foot-pounds of torque. But if you give it another 25%, it looks more like 65 or 70 pound-feet of torque because of the gearing, right? If you just think of how that torque is applied mechanically, the twist and the way it gets to the rear tire. I'm not talking about rear wheel horsepower or torque numbers. I'm talking about the actual twisting force. So that doesn't sound that far away from a 1000cc bike, although it is still significantly different. But here's where it gets weird. The GSXR 1000 will accelerate at whatever rate a 600 would accelerate at. All things being equal, it'll just do it like that for 30% longer. And it's like it does it and you get there 20% faster, right? It's crazy. So you're just fanning through the gears on the 600, you get to 100 miles an hour. And it's like, wow, that was fun. The same amount of time on a GSXR 1000 and you're at 135. And it's like, oh, yeah, 135, that's a lot more than 100. And that's the real difference with a 1000cc bike. The sensation of acceleration is great, but you can get a lot of that with any bike. It's just the fact that it's that sensation of acceleration may be the same, but it will carry it for longer, and it will do it with far less of an effort. Like the bike just accelerates effortlessly. And so it's I'm not going to say that it ruins you for other bikes. I'm just saying that you know that there is a difference. I will say this, it's made me appreciate the GSXR 750, the 600, the R6, CBR 600s, the double Rs, ZX6s. It's made me appreciate those bikes maybe a little bit more. But I can tell you that any real amount of time spent on a leader class bike, and you will, the big thing you'll come away with is, damn, this thing is harsh. Two, damn, this thing is like weird fast. Like you'll accidentally find yourself going 100 miles an hour. The thing about a GSXR 1000 or any of the leader class bikes is that they have a very strange way of making indicated on the dash, an indicated 95 miles per hour feel like you're on, like, in the slow lane. Whereas other bikes might be more engaging, like you are well aware that you are on a motorcycle going 90 to nothing. On a leader bike, you don't even notice it. It's like it is, and the thing is that it reacts, the way that it handles. It is so deep within the ability of that bike to manage and handle whatever is coming your way. I can't really put it into words. And this is one of those things where it's like, when they say it's more fun to ride a fast bike or a slow bike fast and a fast bike slow. That's really not the way that goes. The phrase is, it's a lot more fun to ride a slow bike fast than it is to ride a fast bike fast. Like there's a difference. Because a fast bike, when you're riding it fast, it is on a leader class bike. I mean, that is top of the food chain. It doesn't get any higher than that. So you're able to collect the road in front of you. You can absolutely capture the horizon and just drag it right to your face with one of those bikes. And the funny thing is, I'll find myself, I go, man, I got to remember I'm on the street. I'm on, public roads, there's stuff on the road, whatever the case is. I've got to remind myself that, because when you're on a leader bike, you don't really, like, speed limits are just for other people. It feels like, at least what it feels like sometimes to me. Hard Rock saying leader class bikes take you 0 to jail quicker. I had to chill on my 392. I like my insurance rates right where they are, for sure. Hard Rock saying I've toasted a lot of cars and no more street racing for me. I'll tell you what, I don't really street race. I just street ride. And I'm not even going to say fast. I don't feel like I'm going fast. I don't feel like I'm riding within a danger zone or anything like that. I'm just riding. I'm riding within my ability and my skill set. So, if that freaks somebody out, so be it. But I don't feel like I'm. In fact, I know I'm not. I know that there is so much more that I could be trying to get away with than what I do. I'm actually fairly, how do I put this? I'm pretty sedate by a lot of standards. Not that I've always been like that, but there are times when I do need to turn the wick up and, practice a little bit. But for the most part, I'm just out having fun. Sam said, I'd love to turbo a Road King. I'll tell you what, turboing a Road King would be pretty, that would be, yeah, I mean, it Harley, I guess, but there's some that run at the drag strip that are pretty quick. Yeah, there's a couple of them. Harleys are weird to turbo, though, because you have two power pulses that are so close together. But yeah, they run good. Yeah, Skid saying, yeah, it's been done before with the turbos. Yeah, they run good. Yeah, Harleys make great drag bikes. I've always been a fan of Harley Davidson for drag racing. It always seems like that activity and Harley Davidson went together really well. Skids, yeah, there are superchargers options for Harley Davidsons. They also have them for the Bonneville class of bikes. A lot of people don't know that, but yeah, and for the for the Rocket 3. So yeah, there's superchargers even for those things. In fact, one of them, one of the bobbers, I forget who makes the kit. That thing is like 150, 160 horsepower at the rear wheel. And it's pretty sick. Like it's legit scary kind of territory for a bike like that to have that kind of power. That's all an R3 needs. Yeah. Oh, speaking of 3-cylinders, or R3, or just the number 3 in general, Honda seems to have confirmed the V3. So I don't know if that's going to be a thing coming here pretty soon, but the V3 looks like it has been greenlit. So we'll see how that works out. I don't know if it's going to make it into production with the electric supercharger, but we'll see. I don't know. Hard Rock's asking, are you looking forward to the new Yamaha YZF R3? Are you are reviewing it? If they get one, I will. If I can find one to do, I will. Skid's recent video of a supercharged Harley had over 200 pound-feet of torque, or 200 horsepower in torque. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, 200 horsepower Harley is going to be pretty nasty. Do some serious rolling burnouts with that. Wonder if the belt could manage to hold that. Yeah, the R3, if I can get some love on that, there's a lot of bikes that it's unfortunate that I may not get a chance to review. I did when I was getting the bike list together for the upcoming ride and review. I was talking to the guys up there at Stubbs, and I don't know that we're getting the Hornet 1000 in the States yet, guys. Nothing yet, but it looks like we'll see about this, but we may or may not be getting that Hornet 1000. I have already put my name down. Like the second that thing lands, I'm getting my hands on it if it does come. So, fingers crossed. The most anticipated bikes, at least for me, to be able to get my hands on, will be the Hornet 1000, which that one SE, either the SE or the regular, I don't care. But that is going to be a killer bike, man. If the United States can get that bike, that's going to be really cool. And then if there does ever come into used inventory an XSR, I want to get my hands on an XSR 900. And the reason why I want to get my hands on an XSR 900 is because if I can, and if I can get my hands on one for super cheap, what I would like to do is do an XSR 900 GP conversion to one. And so that could be the next project bike. So we'll see about that. But yeah, an XSR 900 converted to the GP would be really cool. I'd have to get everything in from overseas to do it, but man, that would be a sick bike, and do it all in the old Marlboro livery and all that, the way that it comes overseas. That would be pretty cool, or at least the colors. That would be pretty sick. I think that would be a whole lot of fun. But I mean, I wouldn't get rid of I don't think I would get rid of my GSXR 1000 to build that bike. And of the bikes, okay, so here's another thing. So updates on the fleet. Daytona seems to be doing pretty good. The Bonneville, I haven't really ridden it all that much, especially with the weather changing. GSX-R 1000's doing well. I need to do a ride review on the Honda Rebel 250 and then the T-Bird. So I have got to get the T-Bird to the shop and get that flipping front tire off of that thing and either get a new front tire put on or have it reset or something, because it is absolutely leaking at the bead. So that's got to happen. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with that bike. Of the machines that are in the fleet, the only one that I don't actively look to ride is the T-Bird, not the way that I used to. So I'm a little bit on the fence with that bike as far as whether I keep it. I really do like that bike though. And if I did get rid of it, I wouldn't have a true cruiser to ride. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see if that bike ends up sticking around. Hard Rock saying Hornet 1000 be sick. Yeah. And this kid saying, yeah, they convert the supercharged bike to change drives and stupid money. Yeah, that stuff like that just turns into an absolute, I mean, if you just hate money, that's a place to go to get rid of it. Sam's looking to maybe find an old CR600. Be a cool bike. Hard Rock saying, no, keep the GSX-R. It's a sweet bike. No. I'm not getting rid of that bike. I like it a lot. I just want to get it set up right. And I also want to be realistic. I would like to have a GSX-R 1000 that's not, you know, that isn't necessarily set up suspension wise for track level activities. You know, I can get that thing on the side of the tire, have a ball with it, you know, and not feel like I'm really pushing the limits with that bike. The thing is though, that bike from the factory is set up for track use. You know, it really is. It's set up to where you just make a few adjustments on preload and a couple of adjustments on, even if you have to, I don't even know that you would have to, for compression and rebound dampening. And it's a track bike, like legit track forces. Well, I'm not really hitting the street that hard. And so that's why I want to chill this thing out a little bit. But the only downside to that is it will make it a little bit less stable under very hard acceleration. So what I need to do is I need to, again, the rear sag is already set. That bike is good on rear sag. It just needs a little bit more work as far as dampening goes to make it a bit more compliant for street use. And then that's it. I'm not messing with that bike anymore. And I really do like that GSX-R 1000. Hard Rock saying track mode stiff. Yeah, it's easily track mode stiff. Oh, Sam's saying he's been going through the Harley's history. Yeah, there's a lot of good history on Harley. It gets weird though. You're right. Skid saying you should do a ride along on the Nightster base model to compare against the Rebel. That may be coming this spring. Then maybe a Scout Bobber. That may be coming a whole lot sooner. Be a good comparison. We'll see about that. There's they're in inventory. And by the way, check out the used inventory over at Stubbs. If you guys see a bike that you like, let me know, and or in used or new, just let me know which one you guys would like to see a ride review on, and I'll have them pull it and get it ready. The thing is that the Nightster, if they've got a base model, would be the one to compare it against the Rebel. I agree with that. But here's the thing. No matter what, the Nightster is going to be more expensive. And I mean, damn, that Rebel 1100 is good. I would like, here's the thing. I would like to try, what I should have done is I should have done the Nightster first. The reason why I should have done the Nightster first is my expectations are already really high for the Nightster after riding the Rebel 1100. It is such a good bike, man. It's one of the reasons why I'm so looking forward to the Africa Twin. But I don't know if you could pick up on it in that video. By the end of that video, was so impressed with that bike. It's a motorcycle that would make a phenomenal fair weather commuter. It's a bike that you could ride just to blow off steam, man. You get the thing out and just hang that thing at wide open if you wanted to, and just let that thing eat up to 100 miles an hour. I just see it being a fun machine. It's just a neat bike, and I came away from the experience thinking, my God, this is like what. And I try to keep. I don't like to compare, or I don't want to compare while I'm riding a motorcycle. I don't really want to compare too much with other bikes if I can get away with it. Sometimes I'll put it like in a category with another bike, but man, if I would have, this is why I'm in a way glad I only rode the Honda. If I would have already ridden the Nightster and then I rode the Rebel, I would probably come away going, don't buy the Nightster. But I'm going to hold off on that. I want to drive the Nightster and then give a ride and review on that bike. And then in a separate video, I'm going to say, look, I've ridden both of them, strengths and weaknesses between the two, and go from there. But I can tell you right now, that Nightster's got some big shoes to fill. Oh, yeah. And then there's this. This is where the Nightster just gets a little. Okay. So ergonomically speaking, the Nightster for me is a disaster flick. I don't fit on that bike. Let me give you an example of what I mean by I don't fit. That bike feels like everything is right here. Like it feels that it has mid-mounted controls. That Nightster, if it had more forward controls, might be a lot better, but it just doesn't fit. It feels big and small at the same time. Like the riding position is of a smaller bike, but the bike feels bigger than it is. That's not a good place to be. I just felt out of place on that bike. And I hate to say it like that, because I hopped on that Rebel 1100, boys, and it felt great. Like it felt absolutely perfect sitting on that bike. Where the Nightster, man, dude, I don't know what happened with that. But that being said, the Rebel 1100 leading up to 2025 probably wouldn't have been my bag either, because they did change the seating position on that bike. So in that they changed the foot position. So, my opinion of that bike could have been completely different not more than 6 months ago. So fair play. Okay. Honestly. But, I will say this from a looks perspective, dude, in person, I'm picking the Rebel. On paper and in print, I'm picking the Nightster. The Nightster is a more photogenic bike, but in person, that Rebel's a good looking bike. I'm not, and I don't mean this as a complaint. This is just an observation. The bagger version of the Rebel 1100 it looks like an 85% scale model of a bagger motorcycle. I will say that. I will admit to that. Yes, it does look like that. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just when you see it, you go, But when you look at the bobber variant of it, you go, oh, that makes sense. It's like a little Sportster. It's badass. And it's fun and it's quick. So, yeah, I'm liking it a lot. Sam saying, love to see me on a classic monkey. Me too. I want to get on a Dax. The Dax is the one that I'm real excited about. Skid saying those three compete against each other pretty well, except for maybe on price. Yeah. But check out inventory, man. Inventory changes a little bit every few days, so check it out. Golfer is saying, since you've already driven this GSX-R 600 and owned a 750, what are the differences? They share the same chassis but have different engines, and the 600 has a different close ratio transmission. Correct. The 750 has a little bit wider ratio transmission than the 600. The 750... So the difference between the 600 and the 750 is that you wouldn't know which bike you're riding if I didn't tell you. If I told you that you were riding a GSX-R 600 and you weren't like really hanging off that throttle, then you'd say, okay, even though it's the 750, or the other way around. I could tell you the GSX-R 600 is a 750 and you go, okay, because it's more aggressively geared. And so in that respect, they're pretty similar in terms of how they feel. But again, the 750 is just accelerating at the same rate as the 600, but it'll do it for longer. And between the two, that's how you know the difference. Plus, the 750, there is a marketable difference in horsepower above, say, 12,000 RPM. That's really where you go, oh, that's what's up with the 750. It's just that the 750 might feel like it's got a rev limit of 13,000 and the 600 feels like it's more like 15,000. So you start to notice the difference much more at higher RPM, higher load conditions, but just cruising around, there isn't any real difference. The forks are the same. The shock is the same. The spring in the shock is the same. The settings I even think are the same. I don't have them over here with me. In fact, I think the settings are identical between the two. So they're really good. Like both of them are really good. Golf is saying, what close ratio transmission mean? Oh, what does that mean? It just means that, okay, in a close ratio transmission, first gear and second gear and third gear are all kind of close together. In a wide or a wider ratio transmission, it means that the difference in gearing from first gear to second gear in terms of aggression is greater. And then from second to third, it's even greater still. So let's say if you're watching my hand and this is first gear in a close ratio, and we're talking about the whole screen being a range of speed, like from, 10 miles an hour to 100 miles an hour. Okay. A close ratio would be first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear. Okay. A wide ratio would be first gear, which will be the same. That's weird. First gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear. See what I mean? The more power that a vehicle has, the wider of a spread that you want between the gears. And the 750 just has a little bit wider. In fact, it's a significantly wider spread. But the cool thing about that, GSX-R 750 has a nice broad torque curve. And at T Hill, it's a third gear track. I'll just hang that thing on third gear and rip that entire track on the short side, nothing but third gear. And it rocked out. But that's the difference between the two. Hard Rock saying the Rebel looks more comfortable. It is. To me, anyway, the Rebel's a lot more comfortable. Sam, the Nightster Classic is the one that we've got now, I think. You've got the Softail Classic. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Goldfish saying, got it, thank you. Yeah, it's this does the 750 vibrate more than the 600 or opposite? I'll tell you this. The 600, the latest iteration of the 600 felt silkier to me. Part of that had to do with suspension settings, though, but it felt very nice to ride. In that video, towards the very end of that video, you'll hear me even say, man, look, I rode my Gixxer Thau up to the shop, and the 600 was a silkier place to spend time. So, Golfer is saying I watched. Yeah, there at that point when I'm going over the bridge or over the overpass, I'm like, this is a silkier bike, dude. So I don't know, man. I like the 600. I wouldn't I wouldn't complain about having one. It'd be a whole lot of fun to have. Be a great track bike. Or just a daily commuter. I mean, that bike gets great fuel economy numbers, and you can park that thing at 90 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, whatever, and it just kind of comes into town. I mean, it's a neat bike. I love it. I will be coming more, and recently I will be coming, or soon enough, I should say, I will be coming reacquainted with the GSXR 750. So, yeah. Oh, the Sportster Nightster. Oh, I don't know, man. I get all those things. The Fat Bob's a good looking bike. So I'm saying the old classic Nightster is the old Sportster Nightster model. The Nightster name has been reused. Yeah, that shows you how much into Harleys I am, man. I can't, I don't know heads or tails of some of those things. But yeah, and the other thing is, of the bikes that I've ridden, which ones have been like somebody, I forget who it was asking. We were talking about this. And well, of the bikes that I've been riding lately, are there any that have disappointed me? And none of the bikes that I've ridden lately have disappointed me at all. And I haven't been looking for any more than I got out of them. In fact, most of the bikes that I've ridden lately have been impressive, like more impressive to me than I thought. If there was a bike that I would say, kid said, we know you love Harley Davidson. Yeah. Well, those Indians are looking good in the used inventory right now, by the way. If there were freaking bugs, if there were a bike that I would say that I was, and this is going to sound kind of weird, if there was a bike that I would say that I was expecting more out of, it'd be the GSX-R 1000 or any of the leader class bikes. The only reason why I say that, and it's not the bike's fault, it's not like, oh, this bike is slow. That's such a, I need to couch or explain what I'm saying here really quickly. The GSX-R 1000, the problem with any of the leader class bikes is that all of them in their tunes have a nanny in them that chops throttle at 11,500 RPM. So that's the pivot number. So at either 11 or say 12,000 RPM, if you look at any of the dyno charts, you'll see where it noses over quite a bit. And but if you tune it and take that nanny out, it'll pull straight to, like my bike will pull straight to 13,500 RPM. Quite a bit of power up there if you go looking for it. I think the reason why that bike and the leader class bikes to me are a little bit of a disappointment is that you don't have you're not capturing all the motor that you bought, you know, whereas with a 600, man, you get all the sauce. 750, you get all that bad boy. And but the leader bikes, you have to tune them to get that. Like there's no getting around that. And that can be a little bit of a problem for a lot of folks. So that to me, it's a little, I'm not going to say it's disappointing. Oh, the other bikes that are really good are the GSX S models. Any of the K5 variant 1000cc bikes are really good to ride. But the latest ones, man, they're just neutered, and that kind of sucks. And I'll tell you something else too, and they're neutered in a weird way. They're neutered in that it's when you've got that bike on the side of the tire and you're coming through an apex and you start to roll on the throttle, it's almost like it's not as responsive as what you would expect it to be. It's certainly not as responsive as, like, you know, a GSX-R 750 or a 600. And the reason for that is there are some nannies in play that are trying to keep you from breaking traction and low siding the thing or high siding it. But those limits are set a little bit too low. And so it does need a little bit of throttle tuning so that when you're coming through one of those apexes and you're just starting to roll into the throttle and get the bike to come upright. When you get the bike to come upright, you want to be able to have full throttle. And you don't really get that with the 1000cc bikes just because of all the nannies that are in them. And I haven't filmed it. I haven't done the camera thing in a hot minute, but that one spot where I'll get the bike over on the right hander, and it's the one where in the Daytona video, I'm going, get it. Cause I'm just pouring it on that bike. You can see on the tack, it's coming right up on the red line. And what's funny too, I should have been in a gear up and gone even faster with that, but I'm just having fun with it. Right. So, but with the GSX-R 1000, I'll get the bike over and I'm rolling into the throttle and it's just kind of dead. There's probably, let me think about this. There's about 1/8 of a turn of dead space in that throttle that if you had some of that back, you would be able to pour the throttle on and pour the power on a little bit earlier. And that might make it better. Or it might, it's just, dude, listen, this is where it gets weird for motorcycle stuff because you can nitpick this stuff to death. They're all really good and they're all really fast. It's just the way that some of the nannies kick in. Again, probably saving a lot of people. But if you're used to the bike and you're trying to extract more power out of it, that can be a little bit tough. And then you could say, well, you could just turn everything off. And I guess I could, but that still doesn't take away the problem with deceleration fuel cutoff. And that's the one thing. Oh, another fun fact, the deceleration fuel cutoff on that bike is something that it's got to get fixed because it is in my head whenever I've got that bike on the side of the tire and I'm at maintenance throttle. I'm remembering distinctly to really be shallow with how I'm applying power on that bike. And I will say this too, it almost forces me to go a little bit faster because I want to be away from that, that 5, 6, 7,000 RPM area. I want to be having that bike on the side of the tire at about 8,000 and then be able to roll into the throttle as I'm coming through the apex and get that thing stood up. If I back off even at all, like if I'm trying to adjust my line as I'm going through the turn, and if I adjust my throttle at all in the decel range, I'm like, damn it. I should have just held the line because I know that when I crack the throttle, if the RPM is in that range, it's going to be a little bit of a jerk. So it's just something, now it's a pet peeve of mine. It's not that bad. I'm kind of over exaggerating it to prove a point, but it's definitely there. And it's something that I know is going to do. Skid saying, hey, I love all those American V twins. I love all the V twins. There's some Harleys that I really like. I'm not against the motorcycles themselves. The Super Cruiser looked good, doesn't it? With the 2 big front headlights. I like that. Sam's liking the shovel head. They do sound good. And the old Evos sound really good too. The Indian Challenger is good. Yep. That's a bad boy there too. Sovereign is in. What's up, man? Saying stream looking great tonight. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Hard Rock saying classic Harley engines, bikes, gear, and swag are going for some insane prices these days. Yeah. Everything Harley Davidson is going for some insane prices these days. Oh, and it was confirmed. We are not getting the Bronx. We are not getting the Street Fighter. We're not getting any of that. So there's that, which is a real bummer because I was kind of looking forward to that. But we will not be getting that, my boys. It would have made for a great bike, but its window of opportunity has absolutely come and gone. So that is a bit of a shame. But we do have some other cool bikes coming. We've got a lot of cool bikes overseas that we don't ever get our hands on, though. So, I guess for me, the disappointment really isn't. I mean, it's oh well. I'm not all crying about it. Sovereign, yeah. So Yeah, I saw the deal with Paul. Fun fact: I've got all of those data logs. He sent me all the data logs for all those passes, and not that this. I'm not turning this into Mopar chat or anything, but let me just say that whoever the calibration engineer is on the Demon 170, he forgot to update the he forgot to update some things for the final tune on that car, because there is some needs improvement going on with the data on that car. Skid saying, yep, not totally surprising. Roderick saying, seems like you have a great selection at your bike shop, B. I do. There's a great selection up there. Just like I say, if you see something in inventory, like there's Indians, there's a Honda Fury, which I am gonna ride. I've got a thing for the Honda Fury. There's Mild Bike is there. The Katana is there. You've got there's an older Africa Twin that it's a manual bike. I'm going to be riding the DCT, but there is a manual Africa Twin there. MT-07, R7, some Gold Wings. There's even a Triumph Tiger 1200. So, it kind of is what it is. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Honda Fury. The reason why I'm looking forward to the Honda Fury is I think there's a lot of people out there that feel like I do, that I don't really care that it's a Honda. If it looks like that, that's pretty cool. It's got 1300cc V twin. I don't see how you could hate on it, but a lot of people do. It's not a Harley. It's trying to be this or it's trying to do that. Yeah, it is. How about that? And it's doing a hell of a good job of it. And apparently they're pretty badass to ride. So, I kind of like it. So I'm going to give it a shot here pretty soon too. Oh yeah, Skid saying like the Hornet 750, but I mean, are we really missing out? Well, we are really missing out. It's not just the Hornet 750. And by the way, the Hornet 750 would be a pretty tough. It'd be a pretty serious problem for a lot of folks that might be looking at the GSX S8 or GSX 8S. Hornet 750 offers up the same level of performance, but it's a standard bike and it looks really good. And it's a level of performance that the Kawasaki, the Z650 RS can't deliver. So yeah, it kind of would be, but it's the other bikes. It's like the XSR 900 GP that we don't get. If y'all are familiar with that, take a second, Google the XSR. So X-Ray Sierra Romeo 900 GP Golf Papa. It's a kick-ass bike, man. It's a good looking bike. And that's the one that, like, holy shit. Like if I found an XSR just like showed up one day, I would immediately start ordering up fairings and everything else to do a conversion on it. So we're saying, not gonna lie, that Honda Fury looks sick. Yep. Hard Rock saying, looking forward to a Fury ride along B. I'm looking forward to riding it. Skid saying, love the Fury, would look at doing a chopped rear fender myself. I would agree with that. Otherwise, it's perfect. I love it. I think it's a great bike. I don't know why people I understand why people shit on it, but I mean, it ain't the bike's fault. It's a damn good looking bike and it's got a lot of street presence and, I tell you what, if you're this is the thing I like about the Honda Fury. You want to talk about a funny, ironic thing with the Honda Fury. The Honda Fury is, if you do not like the man, right? Like if you want to be totally anti-establishment and throw a middle finger at Harley Davidson, you buy a Honda Fury because it's still ultra corporate. It is the ultimate Me Too bike. But it's ultra corporate because it's a Honda. So anyway, there's a lot that you're making a statement when you ride a Fury. Maybe that's why I like it so much. But yeah, I don't really give a shit. Like I say, there's that aspect of it. The other aspect of it is piss on all the rest of that aspect. It's just a damn good looking motorcycle, and nobody else is doing it. Look, here's the other thing I love about the Fury. Honda does not have to make that bike. It is not really in their wheelhouse to do it. But you know who's not making that bike? Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson could have made that motorcycle. It's a badass looking bike. You want to talk about, like, if you wanted to shut fools up in your Harley Davidson, you make the Fury. Like, that is a badass bike, man. But anyway, if Harley Davidson couldn't do it, at least somebody did. Honda did. I don't care whose name is on the damn bike. It is a good looking motorcycle. Sovereign say, yeah, Fury does look like a piece of art on wheels. It's a nice bike. This kid's saying, one, I wish we could see Honda Hawk 1100. Yeah, the Hawks are sweet bikes. Harley saying, is Sturgis show just Harleys or all bikes? I guess you could say it's all bikes, but every club shows up to that thing, and it is what it is. Yeah, and you're right, Sovereign. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's your money, your bike, ride that thing. It's Harley saying, amen. Yeah, a ton of bikes go. I used to go to the Lone Star Rally and Republic of Texas Rally with my bikes. Never had any issues. Or saying, ride the Fury right into a hard. There's guys that do that with Furies, by the way. Some little gatekeeper guys get a little bit pissy about it. Fuck them. Sovereign saying, guess who's making bank for that segment? Honda. Guess who's not? Yeah, exactly. Saying, it does remind me of a Harley Davidson breakout. Yes, it does. Back when Harley there for a hot minute was kind of coming around. There were some pretty nice bikes. The breakout is what that Fury would be the closest to. It's a good looking bike, man. Matter of fact, if I were to own a Harley, that breakout would be one that I would go looking for. No question about it. And I like, there are some Harleys that I really do like, but that paper baby, it's way too much money, man. Not to mention, and this is another thing, dude, right now, Harleys on the used market, they're having a hard time capturing dollars. Some of them are, not all of them, but I say a lot of them are. So anyway. Sorry, I bet you that Honda is more reliable too. I promise you that. Oh, and it's shaft drive. It's shaft drive, and I like that about that bike, that it's shaft drive. There are times when I kind of wish that, not wish, but it'd be kind of cool if my Triumph was shaft drive. It's belt drive. But anyway, so quick recap for our split, guys. We've got the Africa Twin and the CBR 650 with the E-clutch coming this week. So be on the lookout. Those two bikes are coming. If I can sneak it in, I'm going to sneak out the Royal Enfield 650 Continental GT. I have got a stupid little crush on that motorcycle, and it doesn't cost anything. Anyway, I've got a dumb little crush on that bike. It is going to be, I am going to be going for a ride on that thing. Possibly, I say I will be. Possibly after I do the two Hondas, I am going to see if I can sneak that one out. Just more or less as a dichotomy from two bikes having all the technologies you can come up with to one that has absolutely none. Skids, you're right. Yeah, the one. Damn it. The Hawk 11, yeah, has a Rebel 1100. That's what that one is. So we were looking at that one today. Hold on, let me do something real quick. Bear with me. If this is the bike that I'm thinking of, yeah, that's the one. So we were looking at this, guys. If you see the Hawk 11, this is the bike that if they would have brought it to the States, I would have bought one. It is a Japanese market only. I don't have screen sharing. This sucks. It's a Japanese, or at least it's only right now for me available on the Japanese market. And no, it's a legit thing. Like it's, hold on. Let me see if I can post up the, bear with me here, guys. I'm going to try to post up a link to this bike. You guys can check it out. Oh, come on, this thing. It's if you go to Honda Japan, hold on, I'm going to do this while we're hanging out. Honda Japan. Oh. Honda Japan. Hello, Honda Japan. No, Honda Motorcycle Japan, not Honda Cars. I cannot read hieroglyphics. Hang on. Let's see if I can find this thing real quick. This is a good looking bike, man. I forget. Yeah, translate that shit to English. Okay, so if you go to Bike Lineup and you go to, hold on. It is, I'm going to post up a link to it. Hawk 11 is a real thing. The Winding Sports. The Winding Sports. So check this out, boys. Look that up. I just got through posting that up. So yeah, Skids, pull that URL up and check that out. That is right off of Honda Japan. That's how you know we were literally just talking about this today. Go in there and look at that bike and tell me with a straight face that you would not be able to leave, or that you would be able to leave a Honda dealership without that bike underneath you, dude. Like, that is a flipping stupid looking bike, man. It's got Showa big piston forks, not adjustable, but it does have the Showa big piston forks. So a little bit different take on that, it looks like. Anyway, check that bike out, guys. That is a hell of a good looking bike. Let's see, but yeah, check that out. Bear with me here. Yeah, Hawk 11. So yeah, that's the that is the, like, right off of Honda Japan. Let's see. The Hawk 11. Great bike, man. Awesome looking machine. What else is here? What else we got here? Do the engine sound clip. What does that do? Oh, it's got a video on here too. Shut up. Are you serious? Oh, you can hear that in the background. Yeah, it's definitely the Rebel 1100. Sounds like it anyway. It's listed right next to it. So yeah, totally cool bike, man. The fact that they don't bring that to us is just, it's criminal. What else do they have over there? CB1000 Hornet, that's already on the website, guys. We do not have it here. So in Japan, they do already have that bike. The CL500. Have y'all seen the, oh, here's one, CL500 and the CB400 Super 4 and the Super Bowl d'Or. Two really cool bikes, man. Another, I mean, you talk about, dude, there's some cool shit. Anyway, the CL500 is a scrambler, Rebel 500. I don't know if they've got those here or not. I haven't seen it. CB350C is another great looking bike. My God, why don't we have these in the States? Anyway, just go play around on that website, guys. It's pretty badass. Oh, skids. Yeah, I bet if you yeah, the Rebel with the Acro, it sounds really good. But yeah, if we can get, I mean, it looks like the States may not be getting the 1000, the Hornet. I thought we were, but it looks like we're not. Sovereign, yeah, CBR 900RR, good old school bike. So the USA did get that bike? Man, that would be sick, dude. No, all kidding aside, man, there's some stuff. And this is the other thing, man. When it comes to bikes, I am not at all any kind of a, like, I don't trip over speed or fast or whatever. I just love bikes, man. That's my whole thing. I just absolutely adore motorcycles, man, and of any kind. They got some really cool stuff, man. It's so neat. I mean, you can just get lost just in the Honda lineup. You know, you've got the whole arsenal of Honda with the old school stuff. They've got the scooters. They got everything. You know, little parking lot cars, man. They got, you know, the CRF 50 for crying out loud. They got some really cool stuff, man. Kind of bums me out that we don't get access to this. What a bummer. Oh, well. Let's see something here. Where did that other one go? You know what's funny? That one might be, hold please. Hold on just a second. Let me go back. Let me just see something here. Oh, see, okay. You want to know a bike that we need to have? CB1300. Oh my God, this bike is good. How do we not have this in the States? It's probably best that we don't. Hold on. I'm posting it up right now. Okay, that you just need to pull that up real quick. CB1300. Oh my God. I mean, how do you just get one of these imported? I'm not even going to let the cat out of the bag. I'm just going to say y'all need to go look at that thing and then come back. Oh, so good. Dadgum, that's a good looking bike. But yeah, we're not getting the CB1000 Hornet, which is a real shame. It's a real shame. I'll tell you another good looking bike, the CB400, which is the smaller displacement version of the CB13. I mean, how do you not? Oh my God. I mean, like, really? This is awesome. Let's see if I can get some specs on it. I don't think they're going to advertise specifications. It's got fuel economy. I don't speak Japanese, or I can't read it, but look, it's a 1300 cc. You know, it's cool as shit. What a good looking bike. Anyway, that's another one we don't get. God, the fairing version of this. Oh my gosh, dude. The fact that we don't get this bike is just, I'm going to say that 3 or 4 more times. Yeah, check that one out, Hard Rock. Just go for yeah, go check that out. But unfortunately, we don't get that bike. So yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, Sovereign. It's a Japanese market only bike. You can't even get it. Like I wonder if let me think about that. I wonder if you could just get one imported. Like just I want one. Send one here anyway. Um so I'm saying it looks like it has old school flair. Yeah, that'd make a killer video. Yeah, it would make a killer video. Or I'm saying it's heartbreaking to not have these here. Yeah. Like us not getting the Skyline, exactly. Anyway, guys, I don't know how the DMV would treat that bike. I don't know either. I don't know, and I don't I who says I would even register the thing? So, got any friends in the military over there? Not in Japan. Um, we're in Texas for crying out. Let's just go get one. Yeah, what? Screw it. Anyway, guys, I got to wrap it up. We're an hour and 20 into this. Listen, for all you guys, thank you so much for hanging out. If you made it this far, you are a trooper. Considering subscribing, it would be really cool. You know, it'd be a lot cooler if you did. No, seriously, though, thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. Do definitely appreciate it. Can't wait to hit you up again. I will be bringing to you guys some riding reviews on the Honda Africa Twin. I've got the Honda CBR 650 with the E-Clutch coming. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe a little bit of Royal Enfield action, maybe a little bit of MT-07 right there in that same time frame. So be on the look for that. And guys, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you do. And with that, y'all take care. Hope to see you on the next one.